Every Sunday I'm front center, looking forward to playoffs. And I keep me a double wings, cause you know I gotta have it. Yeah, they say I'm just a fan. What? Well, I say I'm a fanatic. And I fast forward commercial too. I ain't going to the bathroom. You know where I'm at, I ain't hard to find. You can catch me in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your mate, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Cowboys, Rams, brand new $5 billion with a B, $billion SoFi Stadium opening up. First time the Rams, or any team for that matter in the NFL, Chargers will be sharing that space with the Rams, have blessed and christened that stadium with an NFL game. And the Rams open it up in style, getting the 20-17 victory over the Dallas Cowboys in a very entertaining football game. It was physical too, man. A physical affair, man. They were really thumping some pads, dropping the shoulder. Guys were getting extra yards after contact. A lot of broken tackles in this game. Guys were being physical, man. This is actually a fun game to watch. And pretty much what I expected from both teams involved. I really expected the Rams to come out and try to establish the ground game. I expected the Rams to come out and try to get back to some of the things that made them successful back in 2018 and even in 2017 to a lesser degree. And we got that in this football game. The first possession I thought was a microcosm of what this season is going to be. A little bit more tempo from the Rams, which is what made them successful back in 2018 when they made the Super Bowl. You want to, we didn't see as many shifts, motions, and things like that we saw back in 17 and even 18, but Jared Goff got the football out of his hands tonight. Remember last year, and I talked about this on the podcast, I talked about it numerous times when referring to the Rams, and I told you I think this is a good football team that will make the postseason this year. I think that a lot of the issues stemmed from the offensive line and all the injuries last year. I don't think a lot of people understand just how banged up this Rams football team was a season ago. Yeah, they lost a lot of pieces. I've talked about that. It's well documented. They showed it on the telecast, whether you're talking about losing Dante Fowler Jr., who I think was one of the biggest losses. Brandon Cooks, they were ready to move on. They have enough weaponry, and I love Van Jefferson as a receiver. Had a big catch tonight, rookie out of Florida. I think they're going to be just fine at the receiver position. I think the one that really was going to sting was the loss of Dante Fowler Jr., but you saw Gumby played well tonight. It was good to see Leonard Floyd out there bouncing around. His problem has always been health. If he can stay healthy, man, he can be a problem. He almost forced a fumble, had a big sack late in this ball game. So I think they're going to be just fine with all the pieces that they've lost. But I think they're a talented enough football team where it matters and counts most. Malcolm Brown with a big performance tonight. Good for him. He's been waiting for this opportunity behind Todd Gurley. He's an all true man, yeah, baby. For a long time, finally got the opportunity, and he took advantage of it tonight. He ran hard. Had a drop on that screen that I thought could have went for a touchdown. But outside of that, I thought it was a really good night for Malcolm Brown. And I've always heard Rams fans talk about how they really like Malcolm Brown and think he was a good back. And you kind of saw that tonight. You know, they drafted Cam Akers, a lot of fanfare there. But the guy that they relied on tonight, and the guy they trusted when the game was on the line, was Malcolm Brown. And so good for him tonight. Thought he was really solid. I've always been a huge Robert Woods fan. I think he's the perfect fit for a Sean McVay offense. Does all of the little things well, route running, attention to detail, blocks well in the run game as well, catches the football exceptionally well as well. How many times am I going to say well? But he's a guy that I really like. He had a nice night, over 100 yards receiving for Robert Woods. He was the focal point early in the game. He was the focal point late in the ball game. So he's a guy that they trust. Tyler Higbee is continuing to come on. He had a number of big catches tonight over the middle of the football field. Some good runs after the catch, including the one by the ex-Texas A&M wide receiver, Reynolds, who caught it in tight coverage from the rookie Diggs and almost scored a touchdown. So a lot of really good individual performances tonight. But at the end of the day, the Rams do enough offensively. I thought they left a lot of points on the field. And I thought it was going to come back to bite them. I honestly thought they were going to lose this game because you know my mantra, you know my motto, field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. And they were kicking too many field goals. And for as much as it felt like they were dominating the first half of this football game, you look up and they're trailing at halftime 14-13. And all I could think to myself is, you have dominated this game. You had 3 possessions. Your first 3 possessions, you marched the football right down the field, and you only had 10 points to show for it because you missed a field goal and you had to settle for another short one. So it was really disappointing to see them leave these opportunities out there. But when they got the opportunities in the second half specifically, and really it was the same thing. It was the same formula for the Rams. Opening possession of the game, march it down the field, score a touchdown. Opening possession of the second half, when they got the football, march it down the field, get in the end zone. And that was essentially all the offense for them on the night, sans for the 2 field goals, as I mentioned, in the first half of this game. And for the Cowboys, sometimes you can be overly zealous and a little greedy. They had an opportunity to tie this game up at 20. Let's not forget about that opportunity to tie the game up at 20. They felt in their mind that they were moving the football well in this game, and they thought they were being a little bit too aggressive, and really they were being cocky and arrogant. That's essentially what caught up with them. Is they thought they were going to get back down there again. They said, worst case scenario, this will not. And granted, it was the third quarter, so I understand the logic from the standpoint of, hey, this isn't the last time we're going to be down here. Like, they're not killing us on offense to the point where we won't see the ball enough times where we won't get back down here again. We'll at least get into field goal range and have a chance to tie this game up. And they were wrong. They never got back down there again. And unfortunately for them, that field goal that they would have had a chance to attempt turned out to be the difference in the game. Both teams missed a field goal. So it's not like, the field goal that they missed in the first half came back to bite them. Both teams missed field goals. You had to take that. I felt like with the way the game was going, you needed to take that field goal right there. I told you I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan. I thought that was a poor decision on his part. You take the 3 points, you tie the game there, and then you allow it to be 20-20, essentially a 0-0 game again, and now you start fresh, you start anew. Instead, you kept the Rams ahead, and you were playing from behind, and you never were able to get that opportunity to kick that field goal again. Got to credit the Rams defense, though. There were a number of opportunities for the Cowboys to make some plays. You saw the big play at the end that was negated by the penalty. I thought it was the right call. And honestly, it was the football gods righting a wrong, because the interception that Jared Goff threw should have been hands to the face on Aldon Smith, who had a really strong game. Good to see him back out on the football field. I thought he was washed. Last time I saw him in Oakland, wasn't all that impressed. He looks like a changed man, and he looks like he's back towards more so the Aldon Smith we saw in San Francisco that looked like he was on track to be one of the game's best, and less like the guy we saw towards the end of his run in Oakland. So they may have found something there. Everson Griffin couldn't seem to find a way to stay on sides before the ball was snapped. But he's going to be a difference maker before it's all said and done. Another thing to kind of keep an eye on with the Cowboys leaving this game is they've got a ton of injuries, do the Cowboys. Similar to the Eagles earlier today, who sustained some injuries and came into the game a little bit banged up. The Cowboys leave this football game with a bunch of questions, especially along the offensive line. You lose your backup tackle, your swing tackle, in Cameron Irving. You got a rookie out there, undrafted rookie out there at right tackle, got beat late in the game. But outside of that, I thought he actually held his own for much of the night. But then you lose your tight end. I hate those non-contact injuries. I've heard a little bit trickling out. We don't know for sure. The MRI, I think, is going to prove it. Look, I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, so I can't confirm nor deny this. But if I had to guess, I've watched enough football. I tell you guys this all the time. I'm a professional football watcher. I've seen enough of those injuries. I'd venture to say that we've seen the last of their starting tight end for the remainder of the season. I'd like to think that he probably tore his ACL tonight. Anytime you see a guy go down like that, clutching his knee without contact, my mind always goes straight to a torn ACL. And that sucks, because I like Blake Jarwin. He's a good football player, and I think he was a young, up-and-coming tight end in this league. He's a big part of their offense, and I think, and you saw it when he left the game. Dak tried to go to the tight end position. How many times did he throw the football to the tight end only for him to drop it or go right through his hands? And the kid from Stanford. So they're gonna miss Blake Jarwin. That's going to be a really big blow if, in fact, it is a torn ACL. My fingers are crossed. I'm hoping that it's not, but I've seen that enough to know that more likely than not, at 95% chance, that's a torn ACL and he's done for the season. So they've got some injuries that they've got to deal with. And, this was a tough one to take if you're Dallas. But these are the kind of games that they've been losing over the last couple of years. You look last year, the Jets game was one similar to this. There for the taking. You don't do enough. The Eagles game at the end of the season. There are plenty of countless opportunities in games like this that we see the Cowboys fall short in. And until they can win these types of games, they'll be kind of stuck in that rut of, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, and they won't be able to separate themselves from the rest of the pack in the NFC East. When the Cowboys are good, when they're 13-3, when they're 12-4, 14-2, they find a way to win these types of games. So this could be a bit of a precursor, a little bit of a foreshadowing of what this season may be for the Cowboys. Another tough loss on the road in a very, very winnable football game. I mean, the Rams gave them every opportunity to steal this football game by having to settle for field goals. And again, you got to give the Cowboys defense credit. When they got into the red zone, they stiffened up. And another injury that I failed to mention, and I honestly think that we've seen the best of Leighton Vander Esch. I think that neck injury is going to force an early retirement for him. I've long said that guys with neck injuries scare me half to death. That's the reason that a former Redskin, really good football player, Chris Samuels, had to hang it up. He had stenosis of the spine, which is the narrowing of the spine. And I think he's got a similar type of condition. It's not as bad and it's not as advanced, but you continue to see this guy have neck issues. There's only so many of these types of injuries he can sustain before he's got to start thinking about his long-term future. So that's another guy to keep an eye on, as he left this game and did not return. So as I mentioned, the Cowboys left this game banged up. We'll see what happens with some of the injuries that were sustained and how severe those guys' injuries turn out to be. But again, opportunities on the field that were left by both teams. And this game was there for the taking. If you're the Cowboys, you got to find a way to win this football game. Zeke Elliott is a monster. My God, I watched him tonight. And it just was a reminder of just how good this guy is and how big of a triple threat he is now. There was a play where Aaron Donald, we're going to get to Aaron Donald here in a second. Never, ever, first of all, trust a man with two first names, Aaron Donald. But there was a play where Aaron Donald, Zeke Elliott is trying to help out on Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald literally takes him and throws him up in the air like he's a little kid. And Zeke Elliott is a grown man, okay, as you saw tonight and have seen throughout his career. He's no little running back. And for Aaron Donald to do that to him is ridiculous. But Zeke Elliott is such a good football player. Man, is he tough to deal with. And what's underrated in his game is his ability to make you miss out in space. That touchdown catch out in the flats, turns it up. You're thinking, okay, he's going to get pushed out of bounds. He stops on a dime, cuts in on about 4 Ram defenders, which is insane, and scampers to the end zone. We talk about his physicality, his forward lean, how he rarely goes backwards. We talk about how, he's got some speed, but we don't talk enough about his agility. We know he can catch it out of the backfield. He's a physical guy. He can actually make you miss in space too. And that's something you don't see with him a lot because he's looking to run and punish defenders a lot of the time. But when he wants to, he can be a guy with a little finesse that can make you miss in space. That was a hell of a touchdown catch and run by him. We got the first look at CeeDee Lamb tonight. Thought he was really solid throughout the night. Wasn't able to get the first down on that key 4th down by the end zone. But, again, that was a great play by the rookie Corey Fuller to come and clean that thing up and stop him from getting the necessary yardage to convert on that 4th down. But CeeDee Lamb looks like he's going to be a problem. Michael Gallup is continuing to develop into a stud. That was a tough call late in the ballgame. I thought it was the right call. He did push off. But, if they didn't call it, I wouldn't have been crying about that. I didn't think it was egregious enough that they had to call it. But the fact that they threw the flag, I didn't have a problem with that call. That's a hell of a throw by Dak. That's a hell of a catch. Gallup is so physical. Like, after he catches the football, when he turns to go up the field, you're just like, man, this guy is physical. Let's get physical. Tonight was a physical game, man, and guys were making plays after the catch, and I think Michael Gallup was one of those guys making some serious moves with the football in his hands after the catch. So Aaron Donald, to me, I say this, and I hate making statements like this, and I try to avoid making statements like this because they're so grandiose. They're so big, statements like these are, but I don't say them often because when I say them, I mean them. He's the best defensive player I've seen of my generation. I don't know how you deal with a guy like Aaron Donald that is going to be double teamed, and I've never seen a guy consistently beat double teams as much as I see Aaron Donald beat double teams. And the fact that going into the game, we got to stop 99, and you still can't stop this guy from being a productive member of that particular game. I mean, this guy is a havoc wreaker, is what he is. Plain and simple, end of discussion. When this guy is fresh, when he's in the game, he's a difference maker, period. Countless times he didn't get the sack, but he's speeding up Dak Prescott's process, and he's impeding the play. I mean, every time Dak Prescott dropped back on a meaningful snap, 3rd and 8, 2nd and 9, Aaron Donald is coming. It was just insane. He puts on a clinic every time I watch him, and he can win with a bevy of moves. He can win with quickness right off the snap. He can win with a ridiculous spin move. He can win with a rip move and a spin move. He can win with pure power where he converts speed to power. He can win with what is one of my favorite moves. And I told you, if you are a technician, because he wins with hands as well, and we've seen the ridiculous, insane hand drills he does with knives and things of that nature in the offseason. It all pays off for him. But his latch and snatch is of legendary status, is what it is. That latch and snatch is such a dominant move. And for the life of me, I don't know why every defensive line coach in the league doesn't teach their interior defensive linemen a latch and snatch technique. To me, that's the one that catches offensive linemen off guard more than any other move. Because when a guy engages you, the last thing you're thinking is that he's going to pull you towards him. You're thinking he's going to try to bull rush you, so you're trying to anchor down. And then next thing you know, he snatches you up like your mama at Sunday school because you was running your lip. And all of a sudden, he's propelling himself to the quarterback. That guy's an animal, man. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. That's a bad, bad man, boy. Anyhow, he had another hell of a performance tonight, and he's got some friends, man. I thought Kaiser was strong tonight, man. I remember Micah Kaiser coming out of Virginia and thinking he's a 2-down linebacker. Micah Kaiser was out there all 3 downs tonight balling. I mean, this Rams team, they're finding guys that fit what they want to do defensively. And I thought Ramsey had to work tonight. I told you, it's a talented Cowboys receiving core. They made Ramsey work tonight. It wasn't an easy day at the office for him. He was chasing around Gallup. You saw Gallup beat him late in the game, even though it was a slight push-off. Gallup still had a step on him, even without the push-off. You saw him chasing around Amari Cooper. Cooper made some catches on him. It was a great battle, him going up against those Cowboys receivers all night long. But they made him work, but at the end of the day, Ramsey made his fair share of plays. A 3rd down hit on Cooper that dislodged the football, caused an incompletion. He seemed to be there quite a bit throughout the second half. I thought first half it was a little rough for him. Second half, I thought he was outstanding and lights out. So this defense, they've got some players, man. Taylor Rapp, they've got some really good young pieces on that defense. I think they're going to be fine. A lot of people, it was funny, my man Q-Bone hit me up today and was like, yo, I don't think we're going to be very good this year. He said, we're going to finish last in the division. He's a Rams fan. I'm like, what? That's like a bombshell to me because, yeah, the Cardinals are going to be better. You saw what they did today. They won in San Francisco, and I thought that was really possible. That's the one game I regret, and I'll talk about that tomorrow on the podcast. But they won. The 49ers are going to be just fine. They're banged up to hell. I mean, part of the reason, and I got to watch that game, can't wait to watch it, but part of the reason they struggled today, they don't have a lot of guys out there. They're so banged up are the 49ers, but they're going to be good. The Seahawks went on the road and disposed of Atlanta in short order. That's going to be a hell of a division, as I've talked about. But the Rams are going to be right there. Like, for him to think that they're not going to be good this year, unless injuries take effect of that team, I think the Rams are going to be right in that mix, and they're going to be a playoff team. And you saw kind of the reason why. You saw a little bit of what they'll have to do, which is run the football and, kind of get the ball out of Jared Goff's hands quickly and distribute the ball around. There isn't a dominant guy out there. Spread it around. It's the Cooper Kupp show one game. It's the Tyler Higbee game one week. Tonight it was a lot of Robert Woods. Van Jefferson, I think, is going to have his fair share of catches. The Texas A&M kid Reynolds, he's going to have some catches as well. Gerald Everett is a guy I think they want to get more involved in the passing game at the tight end position. They've got a lot of guys that they can spread the wealth around to. And so I think there's enough here on both sides of the football that this team's going to be ultra competitive. Saw some good things out of them tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Rams are capable of doing this season. They've got a fun matchup next week against Philadelphia on the road. The Eagles are all of a sudden not desperate. It's week 2, but you lose week 1. You don't want to fall to 0-2 on the season. The Rams are feeling good about what they were able to accomplish today. That's going to be an intriguing matchup next week on the road at Philadelphia for the Rams. For the Cowboys, this is a tough one. Again, every opportunity here for the win. And, this is something that the Cowboys just routinely seem to struggle with, these end-of-the-game opportunities. This was something that, with Romo, they were a little bit more effective. With Prescott, not as much. But, and a lot of people want to blame Dak. Oh, he shouldn't get the money. This isn't a Dak Prescott thing. I thought he played well tonight. He gave his team opportunities. But some of it is you coaching. Again, I think you got to kick the field goal there. To me, in that particular instance, it's still a lot of football left. There is really no reason to go for it there. Take the points, tie the game up, and start anew. Instead of playing from behind, it changes the way you approach everything. It changes the way the Rams approach the game. And now they could be a little bit more conservative, take less risk. And all of a sudden now you're on your heels because you got to worry about if they get this first down. Now we got to start burning our timeouts. And, you want Jared Goff to have to take some risks, maybe make a mistake, and so you took that element out of the game by allowing the Rams to have that lead. And so, again, that's where the coaching element kind of comes in. And, there were opportunities, like I said, for the Cowboys in this game, but they didn't make enough plays. And that's usually what takes place with this Cowboys football team in these types of situations. They just don't seem to find a way to make enough plays to win some of these games. And this was the one that I think they'll be kicking themselves. If they finish the season up 8-8, you look back at the season as a whole, this is one of those games you're like, man, that game was there for the taking. And I credit the defense for giving them a shot because, 17, I've always said, you hold a team under 20, you deserve to win. 9 times out of 10 in this league, you hold a team under 20, you're going to win the football game. And so the fact that the offense was only able to muster 17 points, and they still had a chance to win late in the ball game and had ample opportunities in the second half. That's a credit to this defense because, again, the Rams were moving the football, especially in the first half. The first 3 possessions, this game could have easily been 21-3, 21-7, 21-0 even because of how well they were moving the football. But that Sam Sloman missed field goal that gave the Cowboys a little bit momentum, it could have been 10-0. Who knows if the Cowboys scored a touchdown after that. But that missed field goal kind of gave the Cowboys some momentum, and they drive it the length of the field, and they get in the end zone. But the way the Rams were moving the football in the first half, had they cashed in and got touchdowns instead of settling for field goals, it's a totally different game. And that's why you got to credit the Cowboys defense. They're a young secondary. And Everson Griffin, a bunch of offsides and some mistakes were being made. But for as young as that secondary is, with some of the injuries that they're dealing with, I thought it was an impressive showing by the Cowboys defense. And I think they're only going to get better. It's week 1 for everyone. I actually thought they did some really good things, and they settled in after what was a very slow start because, again, the Rams were getting whatever they wanted. That first quarter and a half of this game, I said, man, if they could just find a way in the end zone, they could put up 30-something tonight. And I didn't think that was going to be the case going into the game. But per usual, the Cowboys settled in. They started getting defensive stops. They forced the Rams to settle for field goals a lot of the times that they got down there. Only 2 touchdowns, I think, in 5 red zone trips for the Rams in this game. So, I mean, when you look at it, the Cowboys stiffened up on the defensive side of the football. You know, when you hold a team to 2 of 5 in the red zone, you got to feel pretty damn good. With a missed field goal included in that mix, you got to feel really goddamn good about yourself defensively. And, you know, you gave your team a chance. And the offense simply did not do enough. And really, if not for Ezekiel Elliott and the way he performed tonight, it could have been a lot uglier on the offensive side of the football for the Cowboys. Because, and you know what's crazy is, after watching the game, I can't quite put my finger on what is wrong. Because you see Zeke Elliott doing the things that he did consistently throughout the night. You see Dak Prescott with solid numbers, 25 of 39. And you really, a lot of those throws at the end, those incompletions came with him in desperation mode trying to make something happen. I mean, those numbers don't really tell the story for him. He was really accurate throughout most of the night. And there was still pressure on him with Aaron Donald and company coming after him for much of the night. So I thought Dak was pretty solid. It's amazing that they were only able to generate 17 points, you know, when it's all said and done. But again, that's where coaching comes into play. You got to make the right decision at the right time. You got to have a feel for the game. I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan, as you know, and I thought that was a poor decision on his part to not take the points. It ultimately came back to bite the Cowboys as they fall 20-17 in this game. A guy that I wasn't all that impressed with, he's a rookie. I'm not going to kill him, but I wasn't impressed with Cam Akers tonight. I wasn't a big Cam Akers fan. I know a lot of people were. I think he's going to be good for this football team, though. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a really good fit. He's a perfect fit for what they want to do in Los Angeles in Sean McVay's offense. It just wasn't a great first impression for him. You know, and you know, it's hard because you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the start to the season he had, and then you couple it with, you know, this game tonight, and you're looking at him and you're saying, you know, you hear Al Michaels say, well, they really wanted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know, that was the guy they really liked, but they didn't have a first-round pick. So they had to settle on Cam Akers. He'll be fine. He'll be just fine, but it wasn't a great first showing for him in his rookie debut. But in any event, let's get to the comment section as the Los Angeles Rams come away victorious 20-17. And I hate to brag. I hate to boast. No, I don't. I love to toot my own horn, especially when, because this is what I do, man. This is what I do. I'm 11-3 right now, man. Who's doing it better than me? Your man, Louie T. I mean, and the one game that I don't regret losing the Indianapolis game. I mean, half of the survivor pool got licked down with that one. I'll take that one on the chin. That's family business. I told you, if you don't know the family business, stay out of that family business. And I knew that one could get ugly, and you don't know what Jacksonville is going to be this year. I thought they were going to stink, and they may ultimately still stink. But, man, Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20. I mean, he damn near was 100% today. All right? Anyhow, I lost that game. I lost the Arizona game. I'm pretty sure most of the people took that L with me, just like they probably took the Indy L with me. And then I lost the Atlanta game. I went on a limb there. I thought Atlanta would show better at home. They didn't. But outside of that, your boy is sitting pretty. I might be in the penthouse by myself this week. If I take care of Monday night business, which I expect to do, Steelers are my sole survivor pick. I expect them to go to New York and take care of business there. And I think that nightcap on Monday night is going to be a little tough. Tennessee at Denver. That could go either way. I think with the injuries the Broncos have, Cortland Sutton may not play. And, you know, they're down Von Miller for the entire season. That could be impactful in that game. We'll see. But I digress. Let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say. I think I saw a super chat or two, so I'll get to those first, and then we'll run through any comments that are pertinent. Got a super chat from DMV Fan 123. Thank you for the super chat, DMV Fan 123, who writes, wasn't OPI in my opinion, but it's Dallas, so I don't care. I get that, but look, I want fair is fair. And honestly, if they didn't call it, I would have had no problems with that. You know, Ramsey was all dramatic and he was selling it. And had they not thrown the flag, had they kept it in their back, had that official kept that flag in his back pocket, I would have said, hey, Jalen, chill out, bro. It wasn't that big of a deal. But when they threw the flag, I'm like, it could go both ways. If you threw the flag, it's similar to a challenge a lot of times where you're like, hey, if they called it a touchdown on the field, there's not enough evidence that suggests otherwise, so we're just going to leave it a touchdown. If they would have called it down by contact, and you say, look, it's not enough evidence to overrule it and make it a touchdown. It's down by contact because that's the call on the field. That's kind of how I felt about that penalty. If they called it pass interference, which they did, I'm cool with that. Nothing there suggests that it wasn't pass interference. But if they didn't call it, I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs, oh my God, that's OPI. How could they not call that? So either way, I was cool with the call. I thought it was the right call because that's the call that was made. If they had made it a non-call there, I would have been fine with that too. But he pushed off. It just wasn't as egregious a push-off as we've seen. I mean, hell, the playoff game with the Saints and the Vikings last year with Kyle Rudolph essentially stiff-armed the defender to catch that fade for a touchdown in overtime to win it. They didn't call that. You know what I mean? It just depends on the officiating crew you really get. I thought they were a little ticky-tacky tonight, to be honest with you, in the secondary. But and just like they were, I thought, in the Tampa Bay Saints game. But that's nor here nor there. I thought it was a fine call. I didn't have a problem with it. But as I mentioned before, the football gods were just evening the score because they got away with one on the interception. Because to me, that was a momentous turn in the game. The Cowboys were reeling at that point when they get the interception. And Goff got clubbed in the face by Aldon Smith. That's what got the interception thrown in the first place. So it was nothing but the football gods evening the playing field there. They had made a mistake earlier. They had to clean that up with that play late in the ball game. Thank you for the super chat, DMV fan 123. Got another super chat here from CGM87. Thank you for the super chat, CGM87. Greatly appreciate you. Let's go through the list of comments, see what we got. Got another super chat. Let's see. See that one just show up. So I'll take care of that one. Robert Gamble Jr., thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Robert Gamble Jr., who writes, when's the last time we went 1-0 and the other teams lost? Come on, Steelers, help us out. They're going to take care of business. Yeah, I mean, it feels good to sit on top of the perch right now. It's one game again. I told you guys, don't get carried away. Enjoy it, though. Enjoy it. Like, I'm not looking to restrict your excitement, but understand that it's not going to get any easier. Arizona's coming up next week. Kyler Murray rushed for 100 yards. We'll talk about that all next week. Enjoy the Eagles game. Enjoy that tonight. That's what I said. Like, don't look forward to the future. Enjoy this. The Steelers are going to take care of business. I would love it if the rest of the division were 0-1 and we were 1-0. You know, it may be the only time this year that we're ahead of everyone else in the division. Maybe it's a sign of things to come, and maybe, just maybe, we're actually going to be good this year. We'll see. But there's a lot of time that will kind of sort everything out. But it'd be great to get off to a great start and be on top of the division with everybody else taking an L in week 1. That would be tremendous. Indeed. Thank you for the super chat, Robert Gamble Jr. Let's go back to the top, start knocking these comments down. JP says, Dallas got holes on that offensive PI call, and I despise Dallas. Ramsey looked like he flopped too. He pushed off, but again, as the super chatter said, DMV fan 123 said, he said it wasn't OPI either. I told you, I felt earlier, and I feel the same way now watching it in real time. I thought it was OPI, but it wasn't an egregious OPI. Had it not been called, I would have been perfectly fine with that. But it was called, and I don't have a problem with that either. So you could argue that it was a bad call, but again, it's the ebb and flows of the game. The Rams got jobbed by a no call. Cowboys got jobbed by a call. It all equals up at the end. It's all kind of caught in the wash. The Cowboys had opportunities. That play right there didn't decide the game. They had ample opportunities throughout the course of this game to find a way to win, and they found a way to lose this football game. So, excuse me. You never want it to come down to a call late in the game by the officials. And they had an opportunity to take it out of the officials' hands late in this game. That was a hell of a throw by Dak and a hell of a catch by Gallup, though. You know, damn, that was a hell of a play. You know, people want to talk shit about Dak and how he's this and he's that. He doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve that. That's a hell of a throw with the game on the line. All right, that's you can't drop it in the bucket any better than that. That's a big time throw there. Thank you for that comment, JP. Got another comment. This one from my man Ree. I'm not too down, Lou. Honestly, it was week 1, no offseason program, no preseason games against a very unified and cohesive team. We'll be okay. Yeah, you'll be fine. Like I said, you'll be a 9-7 team this year. The whole Bucks winning 12, 13 games this year, and Bucks fans always try to kill me. You try to kill me sometimes. Oh, he hates the Bucks. No, I don't hate the Bucks. I just speak truth. I know what these eyes see, and tell me you didn't see a different Tom Brady today. You could talk about cohesiveness, this, that, and the third. I saw Brady miss throws I never see Tom Brady miss. It is what it is. I saw some throws that I say, that's vintage Tom Brady. That throw on the corner route to your man Godwin, that's vintage Tom Brady. You can't throw it any better than that. That's feathery, soft, drugstore cotton soft. But then there were throws like one of the first throws of the second half. Like, what the hell is that, Tom? Air mails it 7 yards over the guy's head on what would have been like a 4-yard completion. Like, like that was a Scooby-Doo moment for me. What the hell is that? So, anyway, I digress. As you mentioned, it's the first game of the season. You're going to be much better. And guess what? You're not playing the Saints every week. You'll get a win next week versus Carolina, and we'll see if you start to build momentum. But I stress this, you're a young team. I was really impressed with the defense, though. I'll give you that, and I'll move on. We got plenty of time to talk about the Buccaneers throughout the course of the week during the podcast, but I was actually impressed with your defense. That was the part of your team that I was more concerned with going into the season. They looked pretty goddamn good. They were flying around. But that's another story and another discussion for another day. Lortz of Orthanic says, gotta be honest, the new Rams logo whack as F. I don't have a problem with it. We've talked about the Rams logo before, even in the offseason when it first came out. I don't have a problem with that. Don't love the jerseys, though, but it is what it is. I was perfectly fine with the way they were before. Storm writes, longer I stare at these Rams threads, the more I hate them. Also hated that OPI late in the game. Got to let the players play when the game is on the line. No one likes game-winning whistles. I don't disagree with that. I would have much rather they kept the flag in their back pocket there. Let the players on the field dictate the outcome of the games. If it's egregious, call it. Kind of like the end of games in the NBA. If it's a little ticky-tack, let it go. Swallow your whistle. Let the players on the court decide the end of the game. Now, if it's egregious contact, you got to send that player to the free throw line. Same thing here. If it's egregious contact, if it's an egregious offense, you got to make the call. And honestly, I think the Rams situation against the Saints in the playoffs a couple of years ago put the officials on high alert that if they see contact, they got to make the call late in games. And so this is a situation where, you see the call being made. I prefer, just like you, to just let the players decide the outcome of the game. That's a hell of a throw by Dak. That was a big-time catch by Gallup. Let these boys decide the outcome of the game on the football field. But, again, they threw the flag. I didn't have a problem with it. And I'm not a big fan of those jerseys either. The helmet is the only thing that saves them, but yeah, those jerseys don't really do it for me either. Thank you for that comment, Storm. Gregory Lightbody says, Washington football team needs to get a better wide receiver next to Terry, or else it's a long season for them. Too early to make that declaration, but I understand your point there. Thank you, Brian. JP says, Washington won, and they are at the top of the NFC East, while Dallas and Philly both lost. Let that sink in. And, yeah, we still got the Giants on Monday night. We'll see what happens with them. But, yeah, it feels good, man. And, when this doesn't happen very often. Not week 1, at least for us. I mean, just think about this. The last time we won a week 1 home opener was 2014. Like, I mean, and, I'm going to be real with you guys. And I'm probably going to repeat this again. And I could have said this earlier, but I didn't. If we had fans in the stands, the game might have been different because it might have been more Eagles fans than Washington fans. The fact that there were no fans in the stands probably benefited this team, to be brutally honest with you. But that's a different discussion for a different day as well. Brian says, the curse is over. Washington football team 1-0 undefeated. I never was a big curse guy. I don't really go too deep into that. Reese says, congrats on the win, Lou. Your game was fun to watch. Indeed, it was. That was a blast. It really was. Just football in general. I enjoy, even though there were a lot of penalties in that Saints Bucks game, I enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed this Sunday night game. I just enjoy the company of football. Football is it. I could invite football in, and I would never want football to leave. You know how you get that friend, somebody that comes over, and you just enjoy their company. You don't want the night to end. You don't want that person to leave. I would let football in anytime. Come sit down, have a seat. Don't leave. I've got more drinks. You want something to eat? I'll get you something to eat. Like football, it was just nice to invite football into my home and get comfortable, man. It's so good. It's like seeing an old friend you haven't seen in a very long time, and it's like they never left. It's like you just picked right up where you left off. I always feel that way with football. We have that kind of relationship. It was just fun to watch football. And it always helps when your team wins. That makes it fun too. But thank you for that comment, Ree. Kyle Little says, Rams felt like they were playing conservative for most of the game. I agree with that. And that's kind of why I felt like they were setting themselves up to lose this game 24-23 or 24-20. I just felt like this is a game that was there for the taking and the Cowboys were going to steal it. Especially seeing how the first half ended when the Cowboys got in the end zone, took the lead 14-13. After sheer dominance in the first half by the Rams, they got nothing to show for it but a 1-point deficit. And I always had that feeling like they're going to lose this game. Me and my girl were sitting here watching the game, and I'm telling her, I said, they're going to lose this game because they're pussyfooting around. They're giving Dallas every opportunity to steal this game. They're settling for field goals. They're being too conservative. It's 3rd and 4. They're running draws and inside runs and things of that nature. Everything is a 2-yard pass. I'm like, I think the longest completion they had of the night was the deep ball. It was a beautiful deep ball by Jared Goff down the sidelines to Van Jefferson. I can't think of any other deep balls that they connected on the night. Everything was, the Tyler Higbee throws over the middle of the football field. There were a couple of nice ones from Goff there that were about 12, 15 yards down the field. But for the most part, everything was at the line of scrimmage or 5 yards and in. It was quick. Get the ball out of Jared's hands. Let's keep this thing going. But, at some point you have to open them up. And, when the field shrinks, when you get into the red zone, that 2-yard, 5-yard crap isn't going to work. And it didn't. And that's why they had to settle for field goals. I felt the same way you did. I felt that it was a real conservative approach. That can get you beat moving forward. I think they need to be a little bit more aggressive. It's almost like they were up 2 scores, in the fourth quarter. They were playing it like they were up 27-17 instead of 20-17. I'm like, you do understand, right? Like, you can continue to keep your foot on the gas pedal. You don't have to play the clock. It's like they were playing the clock instead of playing the Cowboys. They easily could have lost this game. They really could have. But I agree with you. Really nice comment there by Kyle Little. Thank you for that comment. JP says Dallas definitely looks beatable even with all that weaponry Dak has. Don't get it twisted. That's an explosive offense. And not every team has an Aaron Donald. Not every team has Jalen Ramsey in the secondary either. Keep that in mind. Kyle Little says Rams uniforms look a lot better under the lights. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'm not a big fan of the uniforms. I was lukewarm on them when they first unveiled them. I didn't have a problem with them. Looking at them tonight, they look so bland. They just look regular. They look like some high school threads. They could have done better. They could have done a lot better than what we saw tonight. I'm not the biggest fan of those uniforms. The 20th Mike says, I didn't see Washington leading in week 1, Louie. I'm assuming you're referring to the division. I did, because I told you I guaranteed a victory. So I knew we weren't going to be, I didn't think we would be by ourselves, necessarily. But now that I think about it, I picked the Rams to win. I picked the Steelers to win. So theoretically, I thought we were going to be in first place by ourselves because we were playing the Eagles. I thought we were going to win. And I thought the Cowboys were going to lose this game. And I think the Giants are going to lose later on today, against the Steelers. So theoretically, I guess without me actually giving it much thought, I felt like we were going to be 1-0 and sitting on top of the division. I just didn't give it much thought. Got another comment. This one is from Derek B. Thank you for the comment, Derek B. He writes, good sleep tonight. Rams' shiny numbers look cartoonish. Welcome to the division, Mike McCarthy. Yeah, those numbers, you know what? I don't have a problem with the numbers. I kind of like the emboss nature of the numbers. But the whole jersey together just doesn't jive for me. You know, it leaves me wanting more. I feel like there's a lot left to be desired with these uniforms. Maybe the all blues will look better than the all like bone color ones. We'll see. Those didn't really leave a really lasting impression on me. And yeah, welcome to the division, Mike McCarthy, you average son of a gun. Ree says, good slate of games today, Lou. I'm so happy football is back. You and me alike. Me and you are both feeling the same exact way, brother. Touche indeed. Got another comment. This one is from Gregory Lightbody, who says, we've seen Ioannidis throw, Elliott. We have, but that was a serious throw right there. He still was being double teamed on the play. So it was like a one arm hip toss. It was ridiculous. But it's Aaron Donald, so I shouldn't be surprised. But that guy just seems to amaze me every time I watch him. He's such a good football player. JP says Aaron Donald is a grown-ass man. Yes, he is. JP also says, any thoughts on the other opening day games? We'll run down the full gamut on the podcast tomorrow, so make sure you check me out live. I'd like to give you a definitive time, but obviously I've got to watch all the games. Don't know when I'll be able to get through all of them. It's going to be before 4 o'clock, so somewhere in that 2 to 3 range is when I should be on live. LouieTeeNetwork podcast, jumping on live and talking about the slate of games from Sunday. Arizona game and the Bears comeback are the ones that stand out to me. There was so much Mitchell Trubisky hate. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I don't want to get into too much of that today. We can talk about it tomorrow or later on today. Anyhow, see if we got any more comments. Got one here from RG3 hashtag who says, man, Aldon Smith looking really good indeed. I remember one Washington football fan telling me, hey, man, Aldon Smith is going to be a beast for the Cowboys. And I was like, I wasn't that impressed with him when he was in Oakland. I don't really care that he's in Dallas. We'll see what he does. And that guy said, man, I think you're wrong. I think Aldon Smith is going to be good for him. That fan might be right. I might have dismissed Aldon Smith a little bit too soon. Seems like he's got his head screwed on, and he's a little bit more purposeful now. And the guy always had the talent. That was never the question with Aldon Smith. It was always about what was going on upstairs. If that's right, the man's got a ton of good football left in him because, just as they said, he doesn't have 5 years of mileage on him right now. He's fresher than a lot of guys at his age at this point of his career because he hasn't played. There isn't that wear and tear on his body. He could be problematic this year. He looks like he is really rounding into form again. Got another comment here from C's Up. What do you think about the O-line and the running back performance? It's still HTTR. If you're talking about our game, it was solid. If you're talking about this game, I thought both running backs ran extremely physical and hard. And I thought the offensive lines for both teams did a solid job of establishing a line of scrimmage and giving those backs a head of steam to be able to run downhill physically. If you're talking about our game, we left a lot to be desired in the run game. We still got a long way to go as a run-blocking football team, but we got the win, so I'm not going to complain. Reese says, the first pick was on Mike Evans. He gave up on that route. That will get better with time. The pick six was a bad throw. It was a bad throw. Even the interception to Mike Evans, yeah, you could say Mike gave up on the route, but if you listen to Bruce Arians, Bruce said Mike read the coverage right. If anything, Brady should have been throwing that back shoulder. Brady's throwing it, leading him up the field into coverage. it wasn't a good read by Brady. Mike was trying to sit down kind of in zone. You could argue, yeah, it's a miscommunication. Either way you slice it. And you're hoping by week 3, week 4, those kinds of things, all those wrinkles will be ironed out and you'll see less of those taking place. But as I stated, Brady just didn't look all that great to me. But for a while, I've been saying that Brady, while he's still good, he's not the Brady of 4 years ago. And so, and your team still does dumb things. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though, again, or later on today, I should say. Gregory Lightbody says, should the Washington football team trade for Stephon Gilmore? Well, first of all, the Patriots aren't trading him away, and 2, no, that's not something. After the game that our corners had today, you're really talking about trading, and you know what it would take to get Stephon Gilmore? You understand the Patriots just gave the man a raise, and they didn't have to do that. They just did it because they're like, you're so good, you deserve a raise. No way. Thomas S. says, as an Eagles fan, I completely understand the amount of injuries we had, but I feel like our key players just didn't step up. That's facts. You know, at the end of the day, Wentz threw a perfect ball to Zach Ertz in a critical situation, and it went right through his hands. I mean, what else on a 4th down? You expect your 2 best players, arguably your 2 best players on the offensive side of the football, to be able to convert. And Wentz did his job, and Ertz didn't do his. And, I mean, I don't know what more you want from Wentz. And on a day where he got banged up and, you know, it wasn't his best brand of ball, he hung tough, and he gave his guy a chance, and his guy failed him. And they were, again, in Ertz wasn't the only guy to drop the football. It was enough blame to go around. I agree wholeheartedly with you. Your playmakers didn't step up. Simple as that. You know, they did not step up and make enough plays when it was all said and done. Yeah, there are a lot of injuries too. Like, you can't dismiss that, but they didn't step up and make plays. I agree with you, Thomas. Seize Up says, I was saying the same damn thing. The stadium ain't that much different just without the opponent's fans. You know, it's crazy that we have to think that way, but I'm thinking that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that they weren't there rooting for the Eagles might have made it better on our guys to actually get the dub. Anyhow, JP says, too early to say a repeat of the 2015 Cinderella run for Washington. Way too early to start talking crazy like that. And remember, that team didn't start out all that good. It was a weird, funky season in 2015. But the you like that game kind of changed. Remember, that was the Code Red game. Jay was on the verge of being fired. The entire staff was on the verge of really being on the hot seat. Jay knew his good job was in jeopardy in that Code Red game, and he got it done. You know, Kirk came back down 24-0. I know my man Ree is like, do we have to talk about that again? He's talked about that enough. He's heard about it enough. It's way too early to start talking crazy like that. I won't even allow the P word to be tossed around. That's slander to me right now. Reese says, Aaron Rodgers played pissed off. Don't mess with the bad man. I told guys that you could see a different A-Rod this year, and the Vikings are going to struggle this season. I said that already. I feel that way. It turned into a shootout. And what's the one thing the Vikings have always been able to hold their hat on? You know what I mean? Hang their hat, on. What's the one thing they've always been able to lay claim to? Hey, look. Our offense may not be clicking on all cylinders, and we may only be able to muster 23 points today, but you're not scoring 23 points today. You're going to score 19, or you're going to score 20. They gave up 43 points today? What was the number? Was it 39? What was it, 43? It was some kind of crazy number. It turned into a shootout late in that ball game, and I don't know if they're capable. I was talking to my man Nick at Night, who's a massive Vikings fan, and he was like, man, we can't stop a wet paper towel right now. Like, you know, and I expected that. Their secondary is extremely young. You don't have your best pass rusher in Danielle Hunter, who's going to be out for the first 3 weeks of the season. You know, no more Everson Griffin to help with the pass rush. Yeah, you got Yannick Ngakoue, but he's still settling into his new role in Minnesota. It's going to be a little bit of a process for them. I think they're going to be a team that struggles a little bit this season. And when I say struggle, I'm not talking 6-10. I'm talking 8-8, struggle for the Vikings. That's not a good season for them. They're a 10-win, 11-win, 12-win type team every year. I think they're going to fall off a little bit this season. But Rodgers is a bad man. And, it's crazy. He's still doing it with limited weapons out there. But as long as he's got Devontae Adams, he can do plenty out there with his supporting cast. Devontae had a monster game. I think he had like 16 catches. That guy's a beast. Scott says Ron R. never looked like he was worried. He didn't. That's why I love that guy. I told you, you pretty much get the same even keel Ron Rivera all day, every day. Dazzling Urbanite says, salute. Dallas lost today was a good day. Today, indeed, or yesterday was a good day. Today could be a good day if the Giants lose as well. Got a comment here from Hirsch Patel. It says, I was quite impressed with how Dak led his offense. I am just happy QB is not a position we will have to worry about. Many people could say that. Hashtag pay him. Like I said, I thought Dak looked good tonight. You're going to get a lot of people, Dak wasn't able to get it done in the clutch situations of the game. This wasn't a Dak Prescott loss to me. And again, I still struggle with quite putting my finger on what is going. The Cowboys shouldn't be scoring 17 points. They're too good of an offense. They've got too much talent. I can't quite. And Ezekiel ran hard. He was the diverse, big-time NFL three-down back that we know him to be. He was everything that you needed him to be for you tonight. And I can't quite put my finger on why it only led to 17 points. And I talked about Dak. I thought really playing well tonight, taking what the defense was giving him, made some solid throws. But I don't understand how you only get 17 points. I still struggle with that. I can't. Normally, I can put my finger on hey, this is an issue here. I don't know. We'll see. But at the end of the day, Dak isn't going anywhere. I've had that discussion. I just had it on the podcast. He's not going anywhere, nor does he need to. Assist says, so what's your thoughts on the Redskins secondary? It's one game. They had their ups and their downs today. I was impressed with their resolve after a slow start in the game. They made the plays of the game. The interception by Fab Moreau changed the game, forever changed the game. And the interception by Jimmy Moreland gave the team confidence that, hey, no, we can win this game. They were on the fence. They were hanging around. The Jimmy interception was the one that said, Fab's interception was the one that said, hey, we're not going away. We're not going to lay down and die. We're going to fight. The Jimmy interception was nah, we're not content with just fighting. We won't win this game. So I thought the secondary made some big plays, but they got to be better. Let's see if we got any more comments. Got one here from Greg Brewer, who writes, hey, bro, great win today. Very happy for you and all the Washington fans. What a front seven. Indeed, I'm hoping that we continue to see the maturation and growth of not only the front seven, but the entire defense. But it was a great start to the season, indeed. Thank you for that. Seize Up says, out of the games you've seen, whose individual performance impressed you the most and whose was disappointing? I'm going to save some of that for peak performers. That's something that I do on Patreon. That's an exclusive series only on Patreon. So if you want that content, NFL peak performers, become a patron and get you some of that. But who was a little disappointing today? I think Brady was the guy that disappointed me the most. I wasn't actually all that impressed with Drew Brees either today. Thought he missed some throws that he normally makes. And, at some point, Father Time comes and taps you on the shoulder, But I'm not saying that's what's happening with those two quarterbacks. But I expected more from those guys, especially Brees, because he's in the same offense and not much has changed. He knows what's going on. Brady's still adjusting and adapting to the environment around him, the guys that he's playing with. It's not the same. So you expect a little bit of, bumps in the road with them. But I wasn't all that impressed with Drew Brees and company today. So, and not enough to say, I was disappointed in them. I wasn't overly impressed. I thought as a team, They did some good things. Special teams, the defense had a pick six. They made some plays. They got after Brady, made him uncomfortable. But as a offense, I thought they weren't that dynamic. You got to credit the Buccaneers defense for that, though. They actually played really well, did the Bucs defense. But I'm yet to watch all the games. There are some surprises for me. Still anxious to see what the hell went down in Jacksonville. Good to see Laviska Shenault get a touchdown grab. Again, rookie wall, exclusive on Patreon. I can't wait to watch some of these rookies and see what they were doing so I can compile my list of rookies who will end up on the rookie wall. Obviously, Chase Young's going to end up there with a sack and a half and a couple of forced fumbles in the game, or a forced fumble in the game for sure. So a lot of individual performances that were impressive and some that might have been disappointing. I can tell you this. I haven't watched the whole game. But, after the Washington game was over, they cut to the Detroit and Chicago game, and I got to watch the end of that before I went live. And they turned just in time to see the rookie running back out of Georgia, DeAndre Swift, drop a touchdown that would have given the Lions the win. Oh, my God, that is so heartbreaking. But in the same breath, that is so Detroit Lions-esque, isn't it? I talked about them on the podcast. So that doesn't surprise me, but man, I said it's tough to be a Lions fan. That is gut-wrenching. To have the win in your hands and then to have it hit the ground. Unreal. Got to be kidding me. And he's supposed to be one of the more sure-handed backs in the draft out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Yikes. Anyhow, let's see. Got another comment. This one is from my man Cubone. That's the guy I was telling you about who's a Rams fan that told me that his team was going to finish in last place this year. And I just was utterly taken aback by that statement. He says, still haven't changed my mind, last in the division, and he's not moving off of that spot. One game shouldn't change your mind. If you were that adamant coming into the season about your football team being a last place team in the division, one game shouldn't change your mind, especially one that wasn't all that impressive anyhow. So you should still be on that hill. And honestly, after making a declaration like the one you made today, you have to die on that hill. Even if you end up finishing second in this division, you got to die on that hill now because you've made that declaration and you don't think your team's going to be any good this season. So because I'm going to die on my 6-10, 7-9 hill. If the team ends up 9-7 or 10-6, I'm going to have to eat that crow, and I would be more than happy to. Just like you would be more than happy to eat your team finishing in last place crow as well. You would love them to finish in second place or first in the division, but it's going to be a good division. I think you're going to finish in third, so we'll see. Third and be good enough to qualify. That's the kicker. It's not just a regular third place. It's third and postseason. Kyle Little says, Cowboys scored 3 points in the second half. We should be talking about that. They scored 3 points in the second half, but the second half was fast-paced. A lot of running. Again, part of that is the Rams. They ate up a lot of clock. Both teams did. The ball stayed in play a ton. There was a lot of runs by Ezekiel Elliott, a lot of runs by the Rams. The second half clock, it was almost like a running clock. So it shortened the game. Not a ton of possessions for either team in the second half. So let's start there. But then you take it a step further. You start to really get into the meat and potatoes of what happened. The fact that the Cowboys elected to go for it on fourth down and didn't convert, they made it okay for the Rams to then feel like they could try to play against the clock. Had they taken the points, tied the game up at 20, it's a totally different game. The Rams have to stay aggressive at that point. It changes the whole complexity of the game. But you're right. 3 points in the second half, not good enough. Not when you scored 14 in the first half and you seem to have a little bit of momentum, coming into the second half of the game. 3 points isn't enough. It's not enough, and 17 for the entire game total is usually not enough to win in this league, and it shouldn't be. And so, the 3 points in the second half was a travesty, but the way the game was played, I was shocked. It was crazy because the fourth quarter was like a blur. It was crazy. I think each team had one possession in the fourth quarter, and it was already 6 minutes and 58 seconds left, and the Rams were looking to try to bleed the clock. And I was like, Well, goddamn. I think the Cowboys may have had 2 possessions, a quick one and then a longer one, and then the Rams had one. And I'm looking up and I'm saying, well, goddamn. This game's almost over. The fourth quarter, if not for the bogus catch and fumble that they ruled initially on the field, this game would have been over closer to 11 o'clock than 11:30. Because that challenge slowed the game down. This game was moving at a blistering pace at one point, where I was thinking this game could be over at like 11:07, which you're talking about 2 hours and 37 minutes for a football game, which is unheard of. These games are usually closer to 3 hours than 2 hours and 30 minutes. But this game was on a blistering pace, and a lot of that was because of how fast the second half was moving. Wasn't a lot of possessions to go around, to be honest. A lot of ball staying in play, players staying in bounds, clock winding. And again, you talked about it earlier, kind of a conservative approach taken by the Rams. Well, that'll keep the clock running, and it did. Q-Bone says, those are ugly. I had to bleach my eyes after seeing those uniforms. They didn't do much for me. I don't hate them. I just don't love them. I'm not a massive fan of them. You know, I'm not as against them as I am the Falcons uniforms. At least the ones that bleed, the color bleed ones. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna kill them over them. Storm says, if we're talking about other games, then I'm not sure whether my Raiders defense is really that bad or just a case of a young. I'll have more for you on that game tomorrow, by the way. He says, I don't know if it's just a case of a young team not knowing how to keep a lead versus the Panthers. First of all, the Panthers have some talented football players. I saw the Robbie Anderson touchdown. That's egregious. You know, I get it. You're coming fast downhill. He stops on a dime, cuts inside, but can't give that up. Christian McCaffrey is a stud. We know that. They're a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. When I talked about Carolina, I said, look, much like I feel about my football team, the record isn't going to reflect just how competitive this team has been all season long. The Panthers are going to be in games. They're young, and they're going to lose a lot of them because they don't know how to win. And they've got a first-year head coach, and there are growing pains that come with a young team with a first-year head coach that's trying to change a culture and get guys to buy in. So, especially one coming from the collegiate ranks. It's different when you've got a guy established like Ron Rivera who's proven himself in this league, been to a Super Bowl. He doesn't have to get guys to buy in necessarily. He comes in, and they're looking for a guy to lead, and Rivera has come in and given them every indication of how good of a leader he can be, and they're going to follow. In the case of a Matt Rule, got a lot of young players who are trying to prove themselves and prove that they belong in this league, and you got a coach that's trying to prove that he belongs in the NFL as well. So they're going to be in ball games. And so just be glad you came out of there with a victory. Could have easily been a loss, but I knew it was going to be a close ball game, one that I expected you to win, and you did. I think I got another super chat. I do. This one is from my man CD, Chris Devers, a big Cowboys fan. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Devers, who writes, what the F? Ram on that BS. Gallup had, I'm pissed. I get it. I'm not upset at you being upset. Again, if you're a Cowboys fan, that was probably an egregious call, but you got to also look at the fact that you got a gift on an interception that should have been, roughing the passer, blow to the head of the quarterback. They didn't call it. These things happen in the game. Usually at the end of the game, they usually even out. It's what happened from, really the second half, the start of the second half, up until that play that you should be really frustrated about. Because despite being dominated, time of possession, yardage gain, all of that stuff in the first half, you were up 1 at halftime because you took advantage of the red zone. The Rams didn't. And so you got to really look at the fact that you missed a field goal. You passed up on an opportunity to kick a field goal. And you really didn't take advantage of opportunities to steal a ball game that was there for the taking. So you should be pissed. You should be pissed. Not so much at the referees, but more so that you left a game out there that was dangling in the balance that could have been won. Assist says, what team might be a sleeper team this year? Like, who will have a breakout year? By the way, I like your haircut. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's hard to say week one. It's really hard to say. I've already said that I think Arizona has a chance to be good this year. I didn't pick them to make the postseason. I had them just missing the postseason at 9-7. But you already see that this team could be a handful this year. Nuke Hopkins comes in, and right out of the gate, he's causing problems already. He's going to be ridiculous. So that's a team that automatically jumps off the screen at me. I don't know. I don't think anything really surprised me today. Honestly, I mean, I'm 11-3, so I pretty much hit everything spot on. Jacksonville is interesting. I want to watch that game. That's family business. But Phillip Rivers threw 2 interceptions. They may have lost their starting running back, Marlon Mack, for the season with a torn Achilles. There's a lot going on and a lot to unpack there. I want to watch that game and see what's actually going on in Jacksonville. They could be a lot better than maybe I thought. And I keep not wanting to give Gardner Minshew the second any love. And the guy just keeps performing at a high level. At some point, I'm going to have to realize they may, I'm on this train that everybody else is on, that Jacksonville will be drafting relatively high next year, and they'll be looking for a quarterback when they do draft high next year. Maybe that's not the case. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, JCamman99 says, what team I got a lot of picks wrong, but that makes week one a lot more fun, like Brady losing. I didn't get a lot of picks wrong because I told you I'm usually pretty good at week one, but for a different reason. Normally because I watch a ton of preseason football, and I know a lot of people say, well, it's preseason, that shit doesn't matter. Yeah, in a sense it doesn't, but you get a better sense of what teams have. We didn't have that this year, but yet I still was able to navigate my way through what was a messy week one. Could have easily knocked some people off kilter, but I'm doing a good job. I'm not out of the woods yet. 2 Monday night games, they could easily go the opposite way for me, and what's a really great week so far could turn into an average week at 11-5. So still got work to do, but feel really good about where I stand heading in to Monday night. And I know you're a Bills fan, so anytime Brady loses, even if he's no longer in New England, you still take solace in that. That's funny. Anyway, got a super chat. This one is from my man, the Black Al B. My man, Black Al Bundy. What's going on? What it do? Black Al B, who writes, do you think this season proves how important the preseason really is? I think it actually has proven the opposite. I think you talk to people that have watched these games in week one, and you're saying to yourself, man, I expected much sloppier football. I expected a lot more penalties. I expected, a lot of things to go wrong. And outside of the Saints game today, I really didn't watch games that were sloppily played. I thought this Cowboys game was well played. I thought the game on Thursday night was well played. And I thought the Washington game that I watched as well was a well-played football game with not a lot of penalties. So, I really think that, the Players Association is going to take a look. I mean, there's really not much you can do now that the CBA has already been put into place. But I think you take a hard, long look and say, do we really need the preseason? Can we go college football style? Because, the college football season starts off with teams playing, soft out-of-conference schedule normally. You get the powers playing each other in week one sometimes, or they call it week 0, whatever the case may be. You'll get like a kickoff weekend big game, number 13 versus 11, number 9 versus number 15. It'll be 2 good teams that you perceive coming into the season, but there's no preseason in college football. You get inter-squad scrimmages, but that's it. Maybe these players take a look at this situation, and maybe even the coaches take a look and say, do we really need preseason? I don't think preseason is going anywhere. And, the guys at the back end of the roster, you really want to be able to take a long, hard look at some of those players, give them an opportunity to prove themselves. But anytime you can not play games and take some of that damage and take some of that wear and tear off of the bodies of your players, it's something to think about, man. I think it's really intriguing because I really have been impressed with the quality of game we've gotten despite no preseason. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. So I think it might actually be the opposite, Black Al B. Thank you for that super chat. Let's see. We got a comment here from the 20th Mike that says, think maybe the unfortunate death of his brother ruined Dak's energy a bit? No. I mean, he's playing with a heavy heart. Obviously, your brother passes away, and, that takes a toll on you. But I don't think that had anything to do with Dak in this particular game. I think Dak was fine. Again, I can't quite put my finger on why they only scored 17 points. You missed a field goal. You didn't attempt another one. That could have been 23 points, but there's something missing here, right? In this particular game, I don't think overall for the season, this team's going to score 40 points multiple times this year. I'd venture to say there are going to be at least 2 games this season where the Cowboys erupt offensively and put up 40-plus points on a team, unsuspectingly, but because they're that explosive and they got that much weaponry, but for some reason it didn't click necessarily tonight. And again, give the Rams defense some credit. JP says Rams ran a lot of bootleg and screen passes, especially early. Caught the Dallas defense off guard. They looked confused a lot. That's Sean McVay's offense, though. If you've followed McVay for any amount of time, it's a ton of misdirection. They want the passes and the runs to look exactly the same. They want them to mirror one another. And they want to get Jared Goff outside of the pocket. They want to get guys coming across the formation out into the flats wide open. They've made a living killing teams doing that, whether it's Cooper Kupp or it's Robert Woods sneaking across the formation, leaking out into the flats on the opposite side of the field. Or you're getting your running back, you fake a screen one way, you throw it to the running back. I mean, tight end screens, you name it. They screen de jour in Los Angeles for the Rams. That's what they do. So the Cowboys knew what was coming. They just couldn't stop it. JP says, do you agree or disagree that the Washington defense caught the Eagles' offensive line off guard with their bull rushes and blitzes? I think they knew what was coming. They just weren't adequate enough in terms of the bodies that they had in the game to deal with it. I mean, think about this. The whole right side of the offensive line, they were making their first career NFL starts. Nate Herbig was an undrafted, or not undrafted rookie, but a late round draft pick out of Stanford. I think he might actually went undrafted. Nate Herbig might have went undrafted. If he didn't go undrafted, he was a late round draft pick. And then Jack Driscoll was a third round pick, I believe, for the Eagles this year, third or fourth round pick out of Auburn. Thrusted into the game. He gets hurt. You got Jordan Mailata out there, a guy that they had no intentions of playing, out there at right tackle. They were mixing, matching parts. And not to mention, remember, Jason Peters had to kick outside to left tackle, which meant they had to stick another guy in at guard. They were hurting on that offensive line. We took advantage of it, as we should have. Black LB says, do you think this season okay, we read that comment already. Iron Rain says, Louie T is always hating on the Falcons in their uniforms. What is it? Sigh, shaking my head. I'm not always hating. I told you I got a special place in my heart for the Falcons, which is why I picked you today. I'm so disappointed in your defense. I need to watch the game, but Russell Wilson, he's a beast too. His game was ridiculous today. I gotta watch it, but that's disheartening what I saw from a stat standpoint. I gotta watch the game to see what took place, but I don't like your jerseys. You know that though. Assist _ says, I agree with Black LB. It's just risky losing your good players like what happened to Jordan Reed. I don't think we're going to see the eradication of preseason, but I do think you could see a situation where the preseason is reduced. I think this is going to give them the ammunition that they need to understand that, hey, we don't need 4 preseason games to get ready. And really the preseason is all about money because they're getting money for those preseason games, concession, parking, all of that good jazz. So, anytime you can put money in your pockets, grease your palms a little bit, that's what they're going to do. But make no mistake about it, the preseason is very unnecessary. After seeing what I'm seeing now, outside of the development of young players, the preseason, you can do without it, man. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it's not necessary. I'm starting to figure that out because I was an advocate for the preseason before. Reese says, did you see Devin White, Lou? He was flying around the field hitting everything that moved. Devin White was a man possessed. Man, was he good in this game or that game or what? Super impressive. Super, super impressive. That's the guy that the Buccaneers thought they were getting with the top 5 pick when they drafted him. That guy looked like an animal and an outright machine in that football game. He was good. Kyle Little says, Brandon Stanley did pretty good against this offense. Kaiser really impressed. I talked about Kaiser earlier in the game. Micah Kaiser was damn impressive. And again, he was a guy when he was drafted out of Virginia. I said, this is a 2-down linebacker. He's a downhill thumper. He's a physical guy, but he can't run. And he looked like a guy that could run tonight. I was really impressed, thoroughly impressed with Micah Kaiser. He might be a hidden gem for this Rams defense. Reese says, Falcons uniforms look like the longest yard mean machine uniforms. Yeah, pretty much. I remember that was the joke when they first came on the scene. Assist _ says, where will the Redskins defense stand top 15? I know it's just 1 week, but I'm a Redskins fan, and 1 win gets me hype. Yeah, I don't have the answers for you. I told you I think we're going to be a top 17 defense. So that means we could finish 16, which means we don't finish top 15. But we're going to be vastly improved. The only thing that I'm willing to go out on a limb and say is that we're going to lead the league in sacks, because I've already said that numerous times. I feel that to be the case. I think we're talented enough to do it. And today was, to me, an example of what this team can be if these guys stay healthy and continue to play at a high level. So I don't know where we're going to end up, but top 15 isn't out of the realm of possibility. It's very doable. But we also could have been torched and scorched in this game if Wentz and company would have been a little bit better. So there's a lot of work to be done. Don't fool yourself, okay? So anyhow, that's going to do it for me. No more super chats, no more comments. I thank you guys for joining me. This was a fun game. 20-17, Rams get it done in the home opener and the stadium opener for SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles as the Rams get it done 20-17. And again, if you're the Cowboys, you gotta feel like you let one slip away. Questionable call at the end of the game. Very debatable call there. But again, like I said, I feel like everything kind of balances itself out. Ample opportunities for the Cowboys to win this football game. That's the thing you got to walk away saying, is that they had opportunities to win. They didn't get it done. So with that being said, I am going to glide to the side. I thank you guys for joining me. Got a lot of football to watch. I don't know how much I got left in the tank, however, but I'm going to try to get a game or two in before I go to bed tonight and see what some of these other teams around the league call themselves doing, like the Bears coming back down 3 scores in the fourth quarter, and Mitchell Trubisky, his mama named him Mitchell. I'm going to call him Mitchell. Tossing some dimes on these boys. You know I'm a Mitchell Trubisky fan. I'm happy for him. I told you he plays his best ball against the Detroit Lions. Anyway, I digress. Remember, I got exclusive content on Patreon. Make sure you become a patron. Take advantage of that. Also, free shipping. One more day of free shipping for LouieTeeNetwork merch. So get your merch while there's still no shipping costs on your end. Take advantage of this NFL kickoff weekend special, as we still got one more day left of free shipping. It's been extended one more day to help you guys be able to get those savings and support your man Louie T. I'm about to be repping. Every time you see me from here on out, I'm about to be repping some kind of LTN merch. So make sure you get yours and we can rep it together. I really appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. What are you waiting on? Matter of fact, let me go ahead and give y'all a quick reminder that if you ain't already hit that sub button, hit that sub button, man. If you ain't turned on that notification bell, turn that notification bell on so you don't miss a thing here on the Louie T Network. And also, hit that like button and subscribe. And keep putting out this content for you guys to consume. We got a ton of content coming up in the coming weeks. We'll have the 88th installment of the Louie T Network podcast tomorrow or later on today. So you guys keep your eyes and ears peeled, which is why you need to turn on your notifications, because I can't give you an exact time when I'm going to be ready to toss that baby up and go live. But I'd love you guys to be there chopping it up with me when I do. So in any event, I will Talk to you guys tomorrow. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Get you some rest. And we'll regroup tomorrow. And we'll talk more football because that's what I love to do. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.